So let's start with case study number 9. Okay, question first. With respect to the payments received from the allottees against the flats and apartments at Deccan Residency Towers 1, DREIL is whether guilty or not. We have to see that. For this, we have to refer the case study. Okay, so as you can see, payment which the DREIL received from the allottees against the flats and apartments at Deccan Residency Towers 1 were kept in a separate bank account in the scheduled cooperative bank to the extent of 85% only, because due to recent lockdown the remaining amount is used by the DREIL to meet the general expenditure as such the deposited amount was gradually used to meet the construction cost and cover the land cost of Deccan Residency Tower 1. So before the introduction of RERA, there was no specific provision which was mandating the promoter to use the funds collected from the allottees of one project for that project itself. For example, in the given case, the allottees of Deccan Residency Tower 1, that is the flat owners in this project, the money which has been received from those flat owners will be kept in a separate bank account, and the 70% of that money will be used for the development of Deccan Towers 1. That was the major legal provision which was introduced after the enforcement of RERA. So 70%, at least 70% of the amount should be kept in a separate bank account for the in a scheduled bank for the development of flats in project Deccan Residency Tower 1, but actually they have kept 85%, so the minimum requirement of 70% is fulfilled. So let's see what are the options. So with respect to the payment received from the allottees against the flats and apartments at Deccan Residency Towers 1, DREIL is option D is the correct answer. It is not guilty because the legal requirement was 70% amount should be kept in a separate bank account in a scheduled bank, but actually they have kept 85%. So they have met the legal requirement, so DREIL is not guilty. Next, the real estate agent Mr. Mirrors is guilty or not. Okay, let's again see. Yes, so from this part they have asked this question. The MD at DREIL is very enthusiastic about branding and digital marketing. He is of the opinion that DREIL is eligible to advertise and accept the application for allotment of flats and apartments at Deccan Residency Towers 2. Okay, so this is another project of DREIL, either themselves or through real estate agent, without a fresh registration. So MD is of the opinion that they can take the bookings of the project without it being registered under RERA. Hence, starts marketing in full force. Mr. Liaquat booked an apartment through Mr. Miraj, who is registered under who is a registered real estate agent under RERA, and he charged a lump sum amount as the commission, which is equal to 1.25% of the cost of the apartment. So under RERA Act, there is no such limit on the amount of commission that can be charged by the real estate agent, but there is a legal provision which states that a real estate agent shall not facilitate the sale of flats or apartments in those projects which are not registered under RERA. Okay, so since in the given case the Deccan Residency Towers 2, it is a project which is not registered under RERA, and Mr. Miraj has facilitated the sale of flats in that project which is not registered. So Mr. Miraj, which is a real estate agent, will be guilty. Okay, so between these two options we have to choose. He is guilty because option A is the correct answer, because Mr. Miraj is guilty because he facilitated the sale of apartment in a non-registered project. Okay, so option A is the Option A is the correct answer. Question third. Whether the price of 500 and 250 respectively charged by the TCL can be considered as predatory price. So for this you need to understand the definition of predatory price. So let's see. So what is a predatory price? Predatory price means the sale of goods or the provision of the services at a price which is below the cost as may be determined by the regulations of the production of the goods or provision of the services with a view to reduce the competition or eliminate the competitors. So suppose if any person is selling its product or providing the services at below the cost of providing those services or producing those goods, it will be considered as a predatory pricing. So the famous example of this is can be Geo, but legally it was never proved that they were indulging in predatory pricing. Okay, apart from that, let's see what is happening in case study. So if you can see, yes, so TCL is a company which has entered into a usage based fee agreement with the leading colleges in different cities to use their respective computer lab facilities. In this manner, the TCL also got equipped with testing centers in different cities. Okay, they had leveraged the AI equipped testing software. TCL, against the prevailing market price of 600 per candidate for the conduct of online test at the center and remote respectively, offered and charged the price of 500 and 250 respectively. So if I have to summarize this, so TCL is a company which has done tie-ups with various colleges which can act as an examination centers, and it has developed a testing software. Currently the prevailing market price of testing software, that is the prevailing market price for conducting the online test, is 600 and 320, but the TCL is charging 500 and 250. TCL will be guilty of predatory pricing if it is proved that the cost of providing the services of conducting the cost of providing the services of online test is above 500 and 250, that is the price is below the cost of providing the services, it will be considered as predatory pricing. But if you can see here, they have given that only those who reduce their prices were able to cover their operating cost. No. Since the TCL has its own server and other IT facilities, including human resources, hence, even after covering specific and shared cost, it earned a profit at a tiny rate only. So, if you can see, the TCL has actually earned a profit, and it has not provided its services below its cost because it has earned profit. So it is not guilty of predatory pricing because they have earned some profit. So if you can see whether price of 500 and 250 can be considered as predatory pricing, no. So option D is the correct answer because these are more than cost. So option D is the correct answer. Let's see. Yes, option D is the correct answer. Whether the immovable property acquired by Mr. Liaquat Ali in the joint name of himself and his wife is valid or not. Okay. So family of Liaquat basically belongs to Hyderabad, despite the fact that Mrs. Nusrat never has been to India. That is, she is person resident outside India, but she was tempted by the Indian culture and traditions and wanted to settle in India. Mr. Liaquat purchased an apartment in Hyderabad in the joint name of himself and his Khatun A Khana, that is wife, after 3 months of their marriage. The payment is made through debit entry to non-resident account maintained by Mr. Liaquat Ali. The apartment is their first owned immovable property. Okay, so for this we have to refer the legal provision. What is the exact legal provision? So this question is from the FEMA Act. Okay, so if you can see, regulation, this is regulation 6 from the page 5.26. Joint acquisition by the spouse of NRI or OCI. A person resident outside India, not being a non-resident Indian or an overseas citizen of India who is a spouse of a non-resident Indian or an overseas citizen of India, may acquire one immovable property other than agricultural land or farmhouse or plantation property jointly with his or her NRI or OCI spouse, provided that the consideration shall be made out of etc., etc., provided that the marriage has been registered and subsisted for a continuous period of not less than 2 years immediately preceding the acquisition of such property. So from this we can understand that if there is a non-resident Indian, that is a person of Indian origin who is living abroad, and his spouse who is not a non-resident Indian, that is she or he can be foreigner, that is non-Indian. So if they want to acquire any property in the joint name, that is a person who is not a citizen or not NRI and a person who is NRI or OCI, if they want to acquire a joint property, here the condition is that their marriage should have been registered and should be subsisted, that is the marriage should continue of at least of such property. In the given case, what has happened is that, so if you can see, their marriage, they have in the case study they have given that Miss Nusrat never has been to India, that is okay, so Mr. Liaquat Ali is will be considered as an NRI and Mrs. Nusrat will be his spouse. So if they want to acquire a joint property as they have given here in Hyderabad, the marriage should subsist and continue for a period of at least 2 years. So since their marriage has been only for 2 years, they cannot acquire the property in the joint name. The same question was asked in the December 21 exam. Okay, so since in the given case Miss Nusrat has never been to India, she was tempted by Indian culture, etc., etc., since marriage registered and subsisted for a continuous period of 3 months only, which is less than 2 years immediately preceding the acquisition of such property, the acquisition is invalid. Okay, so acquisition is invalid. Next, by which date the TCL must realize its export value of the software and repatriate the same to India with respect to export of software which was transmitted over the electronic media. So as you all know, the exporter shall realize the full export value within 9 months from the date of export. Here the trick is we have to know which date should be considered as the date of export. Okay, in case of, so have given here the legal provision of the same. So period within which export value of the goods, software or services to be realized. So there is an explanation to regulation 9 which says that for the purpose of this regulation, the date of export in relation to the export of software in other than physical form shall be deemed to be the date of invoice. Okay, so in case of in case of export of software, the date of export will be the date of invoice. So let's see in the given case. In given case, what they have given. So in given case they have given that the TCL exported one of its software which was transmitted over the electronic form, that is other than physical form, on 30th June 2020, for which the invoice was issue was dated 25th June. So although the actual transmission of the software took place on 30th June, the date of invoice was 25th June, and as we have already seen from the legal explanation, the date of export will be the date of invoice. So 25th June will be the date of invoice, and 9 months from 25th June will be the time period within which the full export value should be realized. Okay, so let's see. So 9 months from 25th, what was the date? 25th June. So July, August, September, October, November, December, Jan, Feb, March. So 25th March. So option A is the correct answer. 25th March 2021. So let's see whether our options are correct or not. Yes, so first was not guilty, guilty was more than cash, acquisition is invalid, and 25th March 2021. So 25th March 2021 is the correct answer. Sorry, we forgot to answer this question, whether the immovable property acquired by Mr. Liaquat Ali in the joint name, this is very important. Since the joint name words are given, whether it is valid or not. No, the acquisition is invalid because of the legal provision which states that the marriage should continue at least for 2 years in order to acquire the joint property, but in the given case there only 3 months have acquisition is invalid. So in this way we have completed our discussion of case study number 9. I will be attaching the legal provision and explanation PDF of this case study in the description box, so don't forget to check out the same. Thank you.